Back. Boy, that sounded good. That was Johnny O, who's going to be part of the tribute to Howard Berkman tomorrow, Sunday, at Alan Goldberg and Cookie Gluck's place at 1322 Oakton in Evanston. Once again, Johnny O will play a little more music at our next break. That was Viva Chicago with vocals by Shay Jones. Once again, it's Linny who's bringing us that great cultural little hit, and I thank you for that very much. All right, welcome to the stage. We've got Jennifer Wallen up here. Hi, Jen.
Hi, good morning.
You've been such a good activist now for so long. I knew you first, I think, in relation to the senatorial office, the local state senate office.
State Senator Heather Staines in this neighborhood for 3 years.
What were you doing before that?
I actually worked for the Environmental Law and Policy Center for a year, and before that graduated from law school and have a master's degree in environmental science.
You Sharpie, you.
Sorry.
That's great. Do not be sorry. So currently you are Executive Director of the Illinois Environmental Council. Is that? That's a big gig.
Yeah, it is a fantastic job, and just having worked for Heather and having worked for environmental groups, I feel like I've been preparing for it for a long time.
Right.
But we are a group that represents most of the other environmental groups in the state before the state legislature in Springfield.
So you're a lobbying group.
Yes, we are lobbying. We refer to ourselves as the eyes, ears, and voice of the environmental community in Springfield.
Very
and
good.
So, Sierra Club's a member, Environmental Law and Policy Center, Environment Illinois. Lots of groups are our members, and we represent them all.
And how do they keep track of you representing them? I mean, do you, if you're an organization of organizations, and plus with the lobbying job, what is the regular format for communication lines between you and these fairly significant groups in and of themselves?
Yeah, session runs from January through May, and during session we talk weekly, and we make sure we're on the same page. And it is, all the groups have a variety of viewpoints on a lot of issues, but especially in the issue we'll talk about today, industry has one goal, and they have one strategy, and going up against that with 12 different environmental groups can be difficult. So as much as possible, bringing our power together and having one strategy and one plan is really helpful in actually being able to win in Springfield.
Yeah, you got that right. So the issue that we are talking about here today is that of fracking.
Yes.
Hydraulic fracking. It's not the first time we've spoken of this on this show, and nor will it be the last time, because it is an extremely serious threat as we sit here. Now, talk about it from your point of view as an Illinois Environmental Council person, as the...
Sure.
Smell that toast?
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
good.
I smell that too.
It smells really. This is the best smelling interview I've ever been at.
The interviews up here always smell good. Make us hungry, but okay.
So I'll just give a little bit of background on what hydraulic fracturing is for your listeners. And when we're talking about this, we're talking about high volume horizontal hydraulic fracturing, because often the industry will tell you hydraulic fracturing has been around for 60 years and we're totally fine and we're safe. But what they're really referring to is a previous process that they've been using where they only drill a vertical well. And this process is different because they drill a vertical well and then they turn the wellbore sideways. So they go a mile down and then they can go up to 2 miles horizontal, and they can do it almost like a bicycle spoke in a big circle around the vertical well. And the previous process used water that was in the hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. This one, because you need so much pressure, it uses 2 to 8 millions of gallons of water per well.
Yeah, let's just stop there for a second. Let's just talk about water. Say that again. How much water?
It's 2 to 8 million gallons of water per well.
Per well. And in a moment we'll talk about how many wells are popping up, not only in our own state, but over in the Kuwait on the Prairie, what they're calling, over in South Dakota. This is appalling to me. That fresh water, which everyone knows is now an item that we need to be guarding and saving. for future generations would be blown into the ground,
Yep, and then comes back.
rendered poisonous.
And we can't clean it up yet. There's no way to clean up the. They're working on it, but this can't be sent through a wastewater treatment center, and that's what they did first in Pennsylvania and Ohio. They tried to send it to some tiny little town's municipal waste treatment center, and that did not work. Surprise. And so, there's those concerns with the quantity, obviously, which we've been through, but there's a lot of other concerns with water and air as well.
Right. Isn't this also related to the famous bit of filming of a guy turning on the faucet and getting flames?
Well,
is that related to the fracking process for natural gas?
I think that, and you're referring to the movie Gasland,
Right,
had a really
Gasland.
dramatic showing of somebody lighting fire. And of course, the industry will argue with you about whether that's true, but it definitely is when you are drilling. There definitely are pockets of methane that leak. And so you are definitely dealing with a situation where not all of the methane is being collected, and
So it's just going off into God knows where.
yeah. So there's estimates that run from 1% to 8% of the methane is just leaked off somewhere in the process, whether it's in the hydraulic fracturing or in the pipelines. So that's another situation where there's air pollution.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the science behind this? Does it make any sense at all? Is there anybody defending this process?
Well,
other than the industries?
So I really want to get into some of the nuance of this argument with your listeners in a short way, but obviously the natural gas, it's something that I think in looking at how we plan our natural futures, our energy futures, there are environmental organizations that are interested in its use as a transition fuel because it's cleaner than coal.
Because it's there.
And it's there, and we need to turn our lights on, and we need to run our iPads, and
Right.
we need that energy right now, and transitioning to that point. So there are people who want natural gas, but I don't think anybody disagrees that if proper safeguards aren't in place, that this should be done. I think that everybody agrees that there's a lot of regulation that needs to happen.
Everybody agrees.
Well, everybody in the environmental groups agree.
Well, sure.
And we're trying to get the public on that too.
Aren't we setting ourselves up? Or do we not already have the situation where people are, particularly in the light of the recession, going, well, heck, just the way the loggers did out in the Northwest when people were saying, let's save it for the owls, let's save the forest, and them,
Jobs.
basically making fun of us all by saying, hey, we need the jobs. We need the jobs. There's an industry here. Men and their families count on it. So there will be the argument. It already exists, I'm sure, and we've heard parts of it related to the Keystone pipeline. That how can we say no to jobs? Well, if they're poisoning us or challenging the future stability of the tectonic plates, okay? How far do we need to go to say it's worth it to make a dime?
And are the jobs that are going to be created by this going to be government jobs that are cleaning up the mess that's happened? And that's a really good question I ask when you're talking about job creation numbers.
Yeah.
But right now in Illinois, we've gone through working on a moratorium and trying to get this. Get a period of a year or 2 years where we intensely look at this and we stop all operations, because in Illinois today, there's a lot of gas lease speculation going on. So people are leasing land to do this, and millions of dollars have been spent on already, but we do not have any yet. And
we don't have any fracking?
We have fracking, but we don't have this new technology yet.
Oh, okay.
But they are definitely exploring. They're definitely exploring wells. Part of that is Pennsylvania and Ohio. There's tens of thousands of wells, and we have this glut of natural gas on the market, and it's so cheap,
right,
that there's no reason to start doing this in Illinois because it's not economically worth it. But when that price of natural gas starts to go up, we'll definitely be exploring.
Okay, so right now, and this was an amazing thing to see, I know you know what I'm talking about. This, it's on NPR's website. In fact, it's Krulwich Wonders. That's Krulwich. That's the name of the... Robert Krulwich is the author. It's called A Mysterious Patch of Light Shows Up in the North Dakota Dark. If you have a good computer that allows you to put this on, you really need to see it. And it's basically talking about the what it has appeared that did not exist. 5 years ago, this was not visible from space, but now is. Lights, the kind of light that you see around a city from space, suddenly in a patch in the middle of the prairie, is lit up all night long. And what they described in the article, which I couldn't print up here, was a scene of basically kind of the Wild West. All kind of people, because farmers do not own the rights to the minerals underneath their land.
Typically, yes.
They that was separated out, whatever,
or
millennium
some of them
ago.
sign them off, and
Or never, yeah.
or they don't. Somebody before them signed off the property,
Right.
the mineral rights.
So we got the situation of wildcatters just going in and digging holes in people's ground, and lighting up the atmosphere and messing with the water supply and all this stuff. It's a fracking little mayhem out there in North Dakota, South Dakota.
all the methane flares make it really look like it's a city.
Yeah. So that's what we're seeing on this. I would really check out that website. It's NPR's website this week. It was put up on the 26th. No, that's today. And a mysterious patch of light shows up in the North Dakota dark. Look at it. Okay, so back to, we do have now a Senate bill going forward.
Well, so there was a Senate bill last session.
So now it has to start over again?
Yeah, it's got to start over because they just started the new session. And so, we had ended the session with going after a moratorium. And, that was going to be a year. And we're working right now. We are meeting with legislators, and we're meeting with the oil and gas industry, and we're working on a regulatory bill, but we don't know what's going to end up being introduced, and the environmental community doesn't know if it's going to be something we like, although there are a lot of really great protections in it, but we still don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with it. So within the next few weeks, we're going to be able to really look at the bill and really analyze it. We're not sure. Well, I can say I'm pretty positive that if we worked for a moratorium, the votes aren't there yet. And much like other issues that the General Assembly considers, sometimes you take steps to get to the perfect place that you want to be.
Right.
Like civil unions, and now we're going for marriage equality.
Right.
And so we're looking at a regulatory bill for this session, and if it's awful, we're going to keep working on a moratorium, because the oil and gas industry will need to come to the table and recognize that their process is a very highly industrialized process that harms water and property.
Who carries water for you in the Senate and the House of Representatives in Springfield?
Well, so right now, the legislators that are working a lot with us on this, Representative Jacobson from Champaign and Senator Fracking from Champaign, have spent a long time, for 3 years, working on this issue. And 3 years ago, nobody had heard about this, and they had worked on a regulatory bill that definitely wasn't strong enough, but it was the most we could do 3 years ago. And so Fracking and Jacobson, and then up here, Ann Williams from Lakeview, she is going to be the head of the Green Caucus in this next General Assembly, and so she's really taken on this issue in the negotiations.
Did you say from Lakeview?
Yeah, Lakeview and West. She's not on the lake, she's just sort of West Lakeview.
So she's west of, say, Sarah Feigenholz.
Yes, she shares. She's John Cullerton's Senate district.
Okay, gotcha.
But she's really been getting into the details of this and making sure that, well, hopefully something. If we end up with a regulatory bill, it's the best it can possibly be.
So we need more people carrying water for this from the Chicago area, obviously.
I think we haven't been allowed to have too many people in the negotiations, but our legislators up here on the north side have been very supportive. All of our state reps here and in Evanston signed on as co-sponsors of the moratorium, and they're really looking forward to regulating this. So, in some way, whether it's a moratorium or regulations.
Usually for stuff like this, what you really need is to get votes and get support from downstate.
Yeah.
Because downstate is the most susceptible to having this happen.
And that's why we started with Mike Frericks and Naomi Jacobson from Champaign, because they represent rural areas and they are very supportive of environmental issues. So that was a great place to start. They're great sponsors, but I don't know if we'll, on a moratorium, when we did the co-sponsors, we weren't able to get
enough
downstate legislators, and I think they're being cautious, although I think John Bradley, he's the person from very far southern Illinois who's been working on the negotiation, and although he wants this in his district very badly, he also doesn't want constituents coming to him and saying, my groundwater, my well water is contaminated, I can't live here, I can't run my business.
Right.
And so he has been very strong on the best groundwater protections he possibly can do, because he's very concerned.
Well, with the time we have left, and we do have one other guest who's not all that far removed from this conversation, Deborah's going to talk about Rainforest Action Network and
climate change.